Hey everyone, this is the Melanated PhD and I'm your host Diamond, or soon to be Dr. Dime. And last week we talked about how to pursue a PhD program and the whole application process. And I'm so excited for today's guest. Today's guest is someone who brings brilliance, well-roundedness, and depth to every space that he enters. And I'm excited to welcome Dr. Dakotah Tyler, a lecturer in physics and astronomy at Pomona College, a former Division I football star, and a passionate science communicator who is inspiring nearly millions across the world on his social media. As an astrophysicist, his work is rooted in exploring the vastness of the universe, helping us to better understand the cosmos, our place within it, and the fundamental forces that shape reality itself. Whether he's studying the physics of the stars or translating complex cosmic ideas into conversations people everywhere can connect with, he's expanding not just knowledge, but curiosity itself, as he is also the co-host of one of my favorite podcasts, the Curiosity Theory podcast. Dr. Tyler, welcome to the show. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. And thanks for that amazing introduction.
You're welcome. I tried to add my little spruce in there. We talked already, but just give the audience an idea of how we met, how I even became aware of you. It was very serendipitous, I would say. We actually ran into each other at the Jennifer Hudson show.
Yeah.
What were you doing at the Jennifer Hudson show taping?
I was there at the Jennifer Hudson show in the little live audience thing.
Yeah.
Because my agent represents somebody who's been on the show a few times, and he wanted me to meet a producer. So he was like, I want you to meet this producer, but you're gonna have to go to the show. And then you were sitting right in front of me.
I know, that's crazy. Okay, so
yeah.
I didn't want to feel like a stalker, but I didn't tell you this, but I literally already saw you before I even sat right there. So
You did that on purpose?
No, I didn't. I wasn't the one who brought me to that seat. They just needed a single person to sit there because I was sitting in the seat where the guests.
And you was like, I volunteer as tribute?
No, I did not do that. But as fate would have it, we were meant to meet each other because
apparently.
I already knew about you because for a plethora of aspects, you're obviously huge in the science communication world, and you're also interested in space and also astrophysics. And because I have aspirations of being an astronaut, your name has always
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Do you want to be? I thought you wanted to be an astronaut.
I don't. I do. I would be one. I think it's good. It's not high on my list of life goals, but if the opportunity came, I would definitely take it.
Well, I don't know. I think someone thinks that you wanted to be an astronaut because when they heard that I wanted to be an astronaut, they brought up you. They brought up Astronaya, and then also my friend Embar, just people who are getting PhDs and also
You should interview Naya as well.
Oh yeah, she's definitely. Oh yeah, that's already.
Yeah.
I love Naya, by the way. But yeah, so it was so funny because when I saw you there, I was laughing because that was literally the first day that Melanated PhD launched. And I was laughing to myself because I'm like, God, what in the world? What are the odds that I will run into him? And Bernard is my witness.
At that place too.
At that place.
I would not ever be at another one of those.
I literally.
I have never been to one since then. I never was at one before.
Really?
No.
Because I was stressed out that day because that's why I came late. Did you see? I was I don't know if you know. I was the last person to come because I was working on my dissertation and I was I probably need to prioritize this. But then I just decided let me just go. And then it was because I was going to meet you. I was like, what are the odds?
That's funny. Yeah.
And so it was really it took a lot of courage to finally be hey, I know you're from your pod, because I didn't want to give groupie, but I am a fan. So it was blah, blah, blah. And Bernard, I forgot to mention, we had just had a Black Doctors Creative meeting where we had discussed potential people to be on the panel. Yeah. And I literally said we should ask the host of the Curiosity Theory podcast. One of them has a PhD in astrophysics. And they were like, do you know him? I'm like, no, but maybe he'll respond to a DM on Instagram. Just for literally, that was a Monday on the Jennifer Hudson show.
Yeah. 3
days later, I meet you. So I just feel the serendipity of it all really just aligns with your work as an astrophysicist. Do you think that there is any correlation between the cosmos and serendipity and like stars aligning? Like, what would you say from your astrophysicist perspective?
I would say that that seems like a cool story. I don't know, it's not, there isn't like, so here's the thing. So I get these sort of questions all the time.
Yeah.
Even, in the realm of astrology or, like the stars mapping out and aligning, things happening a certain way, is that we as humans love a good story, right? And then we also, when we like latch onto a good story, we can see the evidence that supports that, and then we like forget about everything else. With all that being said, I do feel personally like I have like a purpose and I find meaning in things. And it is helpful to think of it in this way of like, oh, like this is what, this was always going to be the case. The universe was always going to allow this to happen. But I personally believe that that's more so like a psychological thing that we
like
have as humans.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Confirmation bias. Right? Where it's like you're doing these things, you're starting a podcast, you're talking to more people about, oh, we should have this person or that person. You're going to these extracurricular Black PhD events. So you're starting to put yourself in the space where more of those opportunities are going to happen.
Yeah.
And I, that doesn't explain why you saw me at that event. Like that was a huge coincidence. So, but yeah, I think that it's like the more that you start having that right attitude and moving in that way, the more likely you are to have these like chance occurrences. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's the way to put it. It seems pretty pessimistic. So I'm just kidding. So you mentioned astrology.
You asked me.
You mentioned. I'm kidding. Yeah. We talked about this because a lot of people really rely almost like a codependence on like astrology, and I don't subscribe to it. I don't know. You said you don't really subscribe to it based off of what I'm just hearing. But I've heard you say like astrology is sort of like a pseudoscience. Can you explain what you mean by that? Yeah.
So a pseudoscience in general is just something that seems like, or maybe wears the mask of like a hard, rigorously fact-checked thing that has a bunch of evidence backing it, but ultimately doesn't.
Okay.
The difference again there between like astronomy and astrology would be that in astronomy, there's like this long history of fact-checked experiments that multiple people have verified, and we've like thrown out ideas that were wrong and like built on the ideas that were right.
Yeah.
But with something like astrology, you may even talk to a person and try to run an experiment and see like, oh, well, do the people born in July actually have these traits? And it's like, well, sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. And you may like look past that and forget all of the wrong instances in a pseudoscience, and then have this like confirmation bias for, the times that, oh, like I'm a Sagittarius, for example, and a lot of the things that describe a Sagittarius actually do describe me. But I also think that they describe a lot of people.
Yeah. It's very general. And I think that just goes back to the confirmation bias. But I do think there is a certain level where like it gets to a point where coincidence is just, I guess, too limiting because it doesn't make sense for a lot of things. I personally believe a lot of things are orchestrated by a higher power, but that's just like my personal belief system. Yeah. Because I want to go into kind of like your story, because from what I've heard, you were previously a Division I football player, and something happened that made you kind of make a career shift. I don't know if being a football player was like your end goal in terms of like NFL.
Definitely was.
Okay. Yeah. So what was the shift, or what happened, and what kind of brought you to, okay, this idea, I'm going to pursue a PhD in specifically astrophysics?
I got injured.
Okay.
And basically couldn't play anymore. So I had to figure out something else to do. And during the time when I was injured, I happened to start watching some documentaries, astronomy documentaries, and became open to the idea of studying that, basically because I had nothing else to lose. I had like nothing to focus on. I kind of like lost my identity as an athlete, and I was very depressed during that time. And weirdly, at the same time, it felt like the universe that I had created was like crumbling, almost poetically or
serendipitously.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Okay.
What like revived the feeling of like passion and interest and purpose was studying the universe at large.
It's almost like something was orchestrating it to.
Yeah, people ask me a lot, would I have done that? Would I become an astrophysicist if I had not gotten injured?
Right.
And I think the answer is probably no. It took losing everything all at once to like open my mind to go into different directions. And so it was like such a defining, challenging moment that it's almost one of those things that I think my life probably would have panned out completely differently if that didn't happen.
Wow, that's really powerful. Like, do you feel like, what was your support system around this time? Because a lot of people wake up one day and like, okay, I'm gonna do this. But to actually, no pun intended, actualize that idea, there's usually other, I don't know, insulation or infrastructure to help you get there. Like, you were coming from a football background. Was your major in school astronomy? Like, what was your major in school? Like, how did you make the shift? Like, that's a huge jump.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
No, my major when I played football was basically football. I had a major that like a lot of the athletes had, but it wasn't.
It was like history?
No, it was community and leadership development. History, I feel like, is actually a hard major.
History is a very hard major.
Yeah, I didn't.
That was what most of the football players at my undergrad did.
I think that. So honestly, what I think happens is that at universities, they find like players will find sort of an easy thing, and then from that point on, a lot of players will kind of get like funneled to whatever that thing is. At my school, it was this community and leadership development degree that it's like, what is community and leadership development?
Yeah, maybe like admin.
Interestingly, a lot of what I do now, I feel like, is community engagement and you could say like leadership development. If like younger people in the field like see me as a role model or something like that.
For sure.
So it applies now a little bit, but I actually started over. So I had to go to community college, then do a bachelor's again, and then the PhD.
Wow. So what was your major? Was it then astronomy at that point? Or
when I switched?
When you did, like your first, I don't know, stage, community college, what was your major at that point?
It was like, at community college, you don't really have majors. It's like I was just taking some of the math and science classes that I would ultimately need for the physics major when I redid undergrad.
Got you.
So then I was a physics and astrophysics double major. And then at UCLA, my PhD is in astronomy and astrophysics.
Nice. So I really want you to speak to the community college, like your experience at that time, because I feel like so many people write off community college, and I'm like, go to community college, you save so much money.
Oh, so much.
And it sets you up, you're going to end up at the same place as people who start off at Stanford or start off at Georgia Tech. Like, what gave you the idea to start there, or you just knew you needed to start over? Like, who put that idea in your mind to start with community college? I feel like it's very wise, and I feel like it's not popular, but I think it should be more popularized. Yeah,
two things. One is that it's way cheaper, like you said. It's like, for a class, if you got like a couple $100, you could take a class. It's going to be the same class. So I had to take algebra and trig and calculus, and I took like my first physics class, and they're the same. Like, it's not like calculus is different if you learn it in high school or if you learn it in college or if you're 12 or if you're 50.
Exactly.
It's like these are math rules. The language is the language. And I actually couldn't even get into the bachelor's physics program because I didn't have those prerequisites of algebra and trigonometry. So it was partially forced, but partially, and that was actually a tough time because I was working nights at this FedEx hub. So I was like unloading planes during night. And then I would like take a nap, then go to class, then come home and like study a little bit, take another nap, get something to eat, and then go back and like work through the night. And that was my life for like a year or two. And it's hard. It is hard when you are trying to do something like that in transition, just because like that's not a fun period. and it's not cool, and people don't think it's cool, right? Like I talk to people now and they're like, oh, it's so cool that you do this.
Yeah.
But it's like that's not what people thought when I was doing that.
Yeah. If they wasn't with you shooting in the gym. Anyway, I feel like
Exactly.
I feel like
Exactly.
Your journey is very inspiring because not the whole premise, but one of the main things that I try to get through to people with the Melanated PhD is that like a lot of the things that people have heard about getting a PhD are just not true. For instance, I think that education should be an opportunity to widen your window of opportunity. And I love how you said, okay, I got this injury. It doesn't stop here. Like I can pivot, and education is an avenue to do that. Specifically with community college, like literally that's probably the most affordable option for you to pivot into any aspect, but also graduate school is an opportunity to pivot because a lot of people don't know that you don't have to do the exact same major that you do in undergrad. Like obviously you should feel prepared, and like some people, that's why they do the master's before the PhD and stuff like that. But for me, like I did biological engineering, which was like soil, water, natural resources, and I jumped into biomedical engineering. And so I think people always, I guess, are deterred by the PhD because they're like, I'm becoming super hyper niche. But sometimes it can be the opposite. Like it widens your window of your repertoire and the skills that you have. So like, I just love that your journey like speaks to that. And thank you for sharing. So you talked about your journey from community college to UCLA. Now, did you go straight from undergrad to the PhD or did you take a master's?
In my field, or I guess like specifically in my department, you kind of get the master's along the way.
Okay.
So in my program, your first 2 years, once you get admitted into the PhD program, first 2 years are classes.
Yeah.
Then you take a comprehensive exam over your classes and you like present a research project. And if you pass that, you can like start to move on to the candidacy process. But once you complete that, you can submit, you can like file to get your master's.
Okay.
So you kind of get it along the way. There's other departments that I know of in my field that don't do that and they just don't have a master's. Sometimes there's like the option to do a terminal master's at places. But for me, I got my master's, but it was kind of like, just because after you take the classes, you get the master's.
Did you actually, so you didn't walk on anything when you got your master's?
Oh, I definitely walked.
Me too.
I definitely walked.
I did the same thing. Because I know it's like a taboo, like mastering out, but I was like, oh no, I'm leaving here with something. And two things, with the master and the PhD.
No, and there's also, me and one of my colleagues, somebody else in my cohort, she's also a first gen, grad student.
Oh, you're first gen?
Well, grad student.
Okay. Still, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't think anybody in my family has a PhD.
That's awesome.
So, so me and my friend, we both walked, and most people don't, because nobody goes to the PhD program to get a master's. So people don't, but to me it was an accomplishment.
Yeah, it's an accomplishment. It should be celebrated.
Yeah, I agree.
People were like, why are you doing that if you're about to? I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
My whole family it was the whole thing. Child. I think you should celebrate every opportunity you have.
I agree.
Can you talk about how you found your principal investigator? I know you told me a little bit about how that you were your PI's first student.
No.
Oh, I don't know where I got that from. So how did you meet your PI?
So I applied to schools that I knew had somebody who was doing research that I was interested in.
Okay.
So that was one of the ways I decided what schools to apply to. And then my PI had only been there for 1 year. So he was new. He wasn't brand new, but he had been there for a year. So there was not a long list of other grad students that I could talk to about the experience, because he didn't, he had some other students, but they was within a year.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
So
that's probably where I got the 1 year thing.
Yeah.
Thank y'all. I promise I'm not tripping.
Yeah. So, I met him when, I didn't even know he was here when I applied, because that's how new he was. He wasn't on the website.
On the website.
So I ended up meeting him and talking to him after I got in, and then he just did research that I was really interested in. And so I was like, I want to work with him. I worked with him on my master's project, and then ended up sticking with him for the PhD as well.
Now, speaking of you being interested in what he was working in, can you tell the audience your dissertation title? Because I can say it, but it's yours, so.
Let's see. Observational investigations of atmospheric mass loss for close-in exoplanets. So I'm using.
Break that down for us, yes.
I'm using telescopes. These are observations.
Okay.
In my field, the experiment is an observation, which is literally a telescope.
Okay.
We're literally just observing what's going on. And I'm looking for signs of something called atmospheric mass loss. So planets have atmospheres. Some of them have such significant atmospheres that a large portion of the mass of the planet is actually that gas in the atmosphere. And some planets will lose that. We call that atmospheric mass loss.
Okay.
Like literally the mass in the atmosphere is getting lost to space.
Yeah.
And then for close-in planets, these are going to be planets that orbit close to their star. So, you know, on Earth, we have a 365-day orbit. Mercury has an 88-day orbit. A lot of the planets that I study have like a 3-day orbit or a 5-day orbit or a 20-day orbit.
Like which planet specifically were you studying, or all of it? Because I know it's more than isn't it more than the ones that we know of? Like, I
don't study any planets in our solar system. I only study planets outside of our solar system.
Is that why they're exo?
Exo, yeah, short for extrasolar. Yeah, extrasolar planets, so outside of our solar system.
Solar system.
So I'm studying planets that orbit, like when you look up at night, you see stars. You can't see the planets, but there are planets around those stars.
Wow.
And I study those planets.
That is fascinating. And you said you knew that's what you wanted to study going into your PhD. Like,
I wouldn't have gone back to school at all if I didn't want to get a PhD in astrophysics.
But what was that turning point? Like, what was it? I mean, you kind of spoke to it, but like, was it like a documentary? You said you watched things, you were reading things, like
watching documentaries.
I just need to know more about this. Like,
yeah, it was. I learned through these documentaries that there was other planets around other stars, and that just blew my mind to think about there being like life forms on another planet.
Yeah.
And like, what was their day-to-day life like? Is it similar to ours? Are they like people? Is it something completely different that we can't even like fathom? And I knew from watching the documentary that had like a lot of astrophysicists in it that there was people who studied that professionally. And so I was like, oh, this could be a job. So I Googled it. You know, this is before ChatGPT. This is like 11 years ago.
I don't remember life before ChatGPT.
This is like 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Sometimes I imagine undergrad would have been way easier if I had ChatGPT, but I probably would have learned a lot less if I used it too much.
Yeah, people, I TA, they definitely use it too much.
I teach now.
It's a codependence.
I teach now, and it's clear that a lot of the students use it.
I think we got through perfect time to still have full capacity.
Fully form an intelligent brain. It's not reliant. But so I Googled, you know, how do you become an astrophysicist? And it's like, you need a PhD, you need to go to grad school.
Yeah.
So I called it a grad school and asked them, like, how, you know, can I get in?
You just called them cold call.
Yeah.
That's so.
You know, it was a Russian dude picked up the phone who was one of the professors there, and he was like, yeah, you need multiple years of calculus and physics. And I'm like, I have not taken any of that. That's when I found out that I was gonna have to redo undergrad.
Yeah, community college.
And then I called the undergrad department. And then that's when I found out that I didn't have enough to get into that and was going to have to start a community college.
Wow.
So I started already with the PhD in mind and knowing that it was going to take like 10 years.
Yeah. That's awesome. Like, it just speaks to your tenacity, because a lot of people will get the idea and then find out all of the red tape that they have to get through, and like, that's too much. That's too much. Especially if you already went through college. Like, again, a lot of people would be like, nah.
Yeah. And you're right. There's a lot of people who would see something that way, but I think the way that I thought about it is like from the end, you know? When you're gonna die, we're all gonna die. And when you're like 80 or 90, well, shit, maybe. I don't know, like now the little tech bros talking about uploading your brain to the...
Oh, I don't want to live forever.
I wouldn't want to live forever
on
either.
Earth, in heaven, but not on
I won't want to live forever either.
Yeah.
But and it was like, you know, when you're at the end of your life, are you gonna look back to your like teens, 20s, 30s and be like, damn, I wish I, or like I'm happy with not pursuing something that was gonna like delay, you know, the progress of my life for a while.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you graduate, you be like around 30 or something like that.
I'm 27.
And you're going to graduate in a couple years, right? And so it's like, but if you live to be 100, you still got 70 years.
Yeah.
You still got over, what is that, like 3x?
Yeah.
Your current age. So, you know, it's like, I don't think that it's helpful to be like deterred by a time span that's like 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
Because that's a small fraction of your whole life. But when you die, they do studies about this. The most common thing that people say they regret when they die is that they didn't do more to live the life that they knew that they wanted to live. And that has to be the worst imaginable feeling as a person, to literally know that your time is up and that you didn't do the things that you wanted to. I couldn't imagine a worse.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful. I mean, it's like a drop in the ocean. I always say, like, a year over the span of your life is such a small fraction. Like, so even when people talk to me about, like, I can't do 5 years in the PhD, I'm like, 5 years? Like, y'all think I'm gonna die? You know, it's so much more life to live.
Yeah.
And that's also why I encourage people to go straight to the PhD and get it out
Instead
the
of
way.
taking it, I think it's dangerous to take. Sometimes it's good to do a gap year.
Yeah, for some people, yeah.
You can get experience that may even help you.
Yeah.
I know that me coming back to grad school being a little bit older was helpful because I was like more mature and I knew for a fact this is what I wanted to do. But you also put yourself in the danger of like working a job and making more money. And then you got to scale back. Like that's hard, especially when you got bills coming in.
Yes.
You may also like just lose the desire to want to go back to being a student.
Yeah.
So I would encourage people to hop right into it if you have it in you. But if you like burn out or something,
take a break.
Yeah, take a break.
Yeah. No, that's literally, it's like a sounding board. I literally tell everybody that because for me, you have to know yourself. I know, like, I had a job offer right after college, and I was like, I looked at how much I would be making, and people were like, "You're crazy for going back to school." Like, because like,
especially if you compare them side by side.
I'm really poor. It's fine, but I'm kind of poor right now. But it's okay, like, because like in my head, like you said, it's about the temporary sacrifice for the long term.
Right.
You know, like comfort and like stability. And I knew if I was making that type of money and then have to go back to a PhD stipend, you would not. Nobody would see me in a graduate program, you know?
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, just get it out the way and then be able to live freely. So I love that you said that because I literally say that all the time. Speaking of finances, what were you on a fellowship when you were at UCLA?
I had a fellowship for 2 of the years.
Okay.
And then the other 3, because I did mine in 5 years, the other 3 I taught.
Okay.
So I was
a
teaching.
TA?
Yeah.
Nice.
TA, and then I also taught TA for this one class where you get to make your own curriculum and then teach your own seminar. So by the time I graduated, I also had 3 years of experience of like teaching my own course.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Did you know so you basically funded your own PhD for the last 3 years? If it wasn't any fellowship, internal or external, or is that like a program, like a different type of fellowship?
Funded my own. I mean, I don't know if I would say I funded my own, but I was at UCLA teaching.
So it was like a different type of fellowship. But
it's not really. It's I guess you could call it a teaching assistantship or something, but it's like if you're a grad student, you either have a fellowship where somebody pays you. You could be a research assistant for your advisor, where they just pay you to do research if they have the funds. But if you don't have either one of those, then you have to TA.
Right.
I wouldn't call it a fellowship.
Yeah.
But I guess regarding how other departments may work, maybe it is kind of a fellowship. Because I know that there are some people who like struggle to find funding. But I guess in my department, you're guaranteed to at least have the option to teach.
That's really
to
good.
fund yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I think people. It's very nuanced, obviously. But when I hear funding,
it's very different at different
it's
places.
like I only hear TA, RA, internal, external fellowship. Like, so that's why I was like, I never heard of that like setup, but I'm sure it's not like a unicorn. I'm sure other programs do similar type of setup. Cool. During your PhD, like, can you share a highlight, kind of like, have you ever heard of flowers and weed moment? Like, I really want the viewers or listeners to really understand that like the PhD is hard. Like, I don't know if you would concur, but like the PhD is hard, but I do feel like there are those glimmers throughout your PhD process where it's like, wait, I'm where I'm supposed to be and it's worth it. Did you have any instances in that 5-year time span where you were like, okay, this is confirmation, like I'm doing the right thing, like I love this? What would you say was like a big highlight?
Throughout the PhD, I mean, I love doing research.
You never like not loved it?
Yeah, it is very hard, especially when you're trying to like solve problems that haven't been solved before. And I mean, it can be like very exhausting, but I think that I also started doing a lot of science communication stuff throughout, and that was one of the things that I really loved. And when it felt bad, that was always something that I felt like I really like to do, which is also why I've like focused on that more in my career now that I graduated. But yeah, I mean, the very first research paper I published, I presented at a breaking discovery conference, and I got like thousands and thousands of downloads on the paper, which, you know, most people in my field, you write a paper and it'd be like 12 people that read it.
Any field. Yeah.
Right. So that was very cool to get to present it. And for that being my first paper, that was definitely one of the highlights.
Oh, when was that? Like when
paper came out in early 2024.
So that was on like the back end of your PhD, like the 4th or 5th year?
4th year, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What would you say, what would you tell pre-PhD Dakotah? Like before you started the PhD, what did you learn over the course and maybe afterwards that you feel would be good advice to someone who is starting a PhD in astrophysicist or just a PhD in general, especially from as like a Black man?
Yeah. So I actually had the right mentality going in, so I wouldn't tell myself anything because I don't want to change.
Period.
I don't want to change like how I approached it, but the way that I approached it was basically just knowing that if you like work hard enough, if you study hard enough, if you do whatever you think that it takes, you'll be able to like get through to the other side, right? Like I feel like one of the things that happens in a PhD is you run into these brick walls, and it's like you don't know how like what to do, and it like makes you want to like quit, or you get exhausted, or you want to just break down and cry.
Yeah.
And it's like but you will always get through that every time. Every single time I've ever been in that spot, I've always gotten through eventually.
Yeah.
And so it's like taking this approach of kind of like building a house one brick at a time. It only is ever going to move one brick at a time. And if you can't be comfortable with that, like if that like breaks you or something, then you're probably thinking too short term or like too small. And you kind of need to like step back and see the bigger picture. But like doing a little bit of work consistently every day, you'll eventually get there.
That's really great advice. I'm even receiving it as like being ABD right now. Like you're right. Those brick walls, I don't think I've ever heard it said like that, but you put words to the feeling. Like,
right, but that's what it feels like.
That's what it feels like.
Feels like it's a brick wall that you just like can't get through.
Yeah.
But then eventually you do.
But you always get through it. Like
you
said, like it's gonna come down. And like you said, I feel like I always say the easiest way to eat an elephant is like limb by limb. That's kind of like graphic.
You always say that?
I always say that. I say that to myself.
An endangered species? That's crazy. That's why we can't trust y'all medical scientists. Y'all do anything.
Wait. Okay, that's a bad analogy. I'll think of something else. Not an animal. PETA, please. And
even limb by limb, I'm thinking of like an elephant leg. That doesn't make it any easier to think about eating an entire elephant leg.
Somebody told me that. I didn't come up with that. Have you heard that before, Bernard?
Maybe like bite by bite.
It's because the elephant is like the biggest
limb
animal.
by limb. How long would it take you to eat a leg of an elephant? This is like a month's worth of meat.
Can we just forget the analogy? The point is, I concur with what you said.
I agree.
Okay. You spoke a little bit about how really science communication was like a healthy diversion for you in those tough moments. And that's something that you do now very well, like you said, very renowned in the science communication industry and world. Is that what it's called? Industry, science communication industry?
Field industry.
What's next for you? I know that you have the Curiosity Theory podcast. You can speak to that. Like, what is your, I don't want to say end goal, because I feel like the goals are constantly evolving, constantly growing. Like, what do you envision for your career?
My vague goal is to be a prolific science communicator in like a myriad of different ways. So like I have the podcast, obviously.
Yeah.
I love doing that. I have, I signed a book deal last year.
Nice.
So there's a book that I'm writing as well. And these two I like because long form is so much of a better way of making an impact that means something.
Yeah.
It feels like the short form and the clips and stuff, because you could get millions of people to see it. It feels like that makes an impact, but I actually am now convinced that it doesn't, because that's not how brains learn. At most, you could communicate fun facts that way. I don't even believe the fun facts will stick.
Stick, really?
Not at all. I had somebody show me a video and it'd be like, oh, like, look at this cool video. And then I could go back in 2 hours and ask them, what did they learn from that video? And they wouldn't remember. They would have to go back and watch it again. Of course, you're doing a PhD. That's not how you learn. You don't learn by having ChatGPT summarize a chapter and tell you the top 2 talking points. You won't learn anything. You haven't learned anything meaningful, right? You've probably learned something that's so reductive that it's not truth. Now, that may not matter if you're not in the field, but if you get grilled by your committee and that's what you have is these like 30-second, you actually don't know the stuff, right? So yeah, at the same time, I make a lot of that content, and I do think that people think that they're learning, but it's like so bite-sized and like TikTokified that I actually am not convinced that it is very effective. The long form stuff I think is, though.
Yeah.
So I love the podcast. I love writing the book. You can like build out ideas. You could like walk people through the way that you're thinking, and they can have like their own revelations about it. And then obviously I teach at Pomona, but I want to get more into doing like public speaking stuff. Right now, usually 3-4 times a month, I go and do a public speaking event somewhere. I was at Mississippi State last week.
Really? So you go like every week, because you were just at Elizabeth City.
And I was at Elizabeth City State,
You
the
need
week
to come
before.
to A&T. You need to come to North Carolina A&T. That's my alma mater.
And talk to have them invite me.
You would probably be invited for like the Chancellor's speaking series.
Yeah.
Like, for real.
Well,
that's like a big deal.
Connect the dots.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Where you weren't, never mind, go ahead.
And then one of the things that I actually did at Elizabeth City State, which is a HBCU, also in North Carolina.
Yep, I'm aware.
Was I talked to the football team there about like my transition and how important it is to like be able to see. And even talking to those guys in that room, it becomes apparent to me that there's so many young guys who are not going to go on to play in the league that have not like realized that they're going to have a life outside after they graduate. Yes. And that happens, I think, for a lot of athletes. I think for a lot of young black men, especially when you realize like that you're not going to either be a rapper or an athlete or some sort of entertainer. And it's unfortunate because you lose your identity as, you know, what you thought you were doing, what people liked you for. So it's helpful for me, or I think it's impactful for me to be able to connect with a lot of people that are in the position that I was once in. So I don't know, I listed like 4 or 5 things there, and I think all of those things I want to keep doing at a higher and higher level.
Yeah. Because I was about to say, you're already a prolific science communicator, but like you said, at a higher and constantly evolving. The most prolific.
Yeah, I didn't say that. But that's in my head, like
I mean, I feel like that's not even hard to fathom, really. But I really love what you spoke, because I really was so excited to have you come on the podcast. You're my first guest, you know that. But as a black male, because I don't know, like my heart just goes out to black men specifically, because I do think that they face different pressures. I'm not saying it's more than black women, but there's different pressures. And sometimes it is hard to find identity outside of the societal norms of sports and physicality. Did you watch the Lady London and Cam Newton interview?
I saw clips.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'm not gonna go on that tangent. But I really want Black men to know that there's more to life than there's. I want them to appreciate intellectualism and understand the intellectualism that they have within them, because you're right. Like it's like a dark hole that they just funnel into, and it's like you don't have to stop there. Like once sports doesn't work out, like your journey proves, there's a whole nother world out here. Even if it's not astrophysicists, like it can. There's more, you know. Sorry. Also, it's Black History Month, so I just had to get that off my chest. Matter of fact, while we're on the Black History Month topic, like, how do you feel that your identity as a Black male, do you feel like it impacted your journey at all, or your career, even as a science communicator?
Yeah. So my field, astrophysics, is like 1% Black or less. In general, I think only 1% of Black men get a PhD in anything. And so that is combining humanities with STEM. The number for STEM is probably like a fraction of a percent. My field now, science communication, also, it's like most people can think of one Black scientist that does science communication, like Neil deGrasse Tyson. There are some others, but he's kind of like the one at the highest level. But that's it, right? There's not a lot of them. So I feel like always, no matter what I choose to do, it's like these are the things I'm interested in. I want to get a PhD. I want to do astronomy. I want to do science communication. I keep choosing things that have like almost no representation. So at this point, I've sort of learned to ignore that, or to like expect that some people are not going to like it, that some people are going to be surprised by it, that some people are going to have an issue with the way that I talk about things, or like the way that I show up. And at this point, I just don't really care.
Period.
Yeah. So it's a part I've always identified as Black. That's just a part of who I am. I'm going to just do the stuff how I want to do it. And when it comes to, and this is something that I have had, a lot of times I apply for like science hosting jobs for like a TV show or something like that. And I like get interviewed. I'd never get chosen. It will always be a white person that gets chosen, always. And like maybe they're, I'm not like complaining. Maybe they're like better than me or something. I don't know. But it came to a point where I was like, well, I'll just do all this stuff myself. So I built my own platform. I started my own podcast. I'm writing my own book, and I'm gonna just do it all myself. And then I'll do it in the way that I want to do it, in the way that's meaningful to me. And like what other people, or what these people, like the vanguard, the people that are in the traditional positions to give opportunities, it just doesn't matter if they want to give it to me or not. I'll just do it myself.
Yeah, I definitely don't think, it's a skill issue. It's always, well, don't get me started on my soapbox, but I can go on a soapbox when it comes to racism and institutionalized racism in academia, but that's besides the point.
Well, as a scientist, we want to like be open to all the possibilities, right?
Yeah, and that's beautiful.
It could be a lot of things. I could tell you, personally what I think it is, but
that's very.
We're open to the possible, all reasonable possibilibilities.
That's beautiful, and I think there's a space for that. Not here, so no, I'm just kidding. So you mentioned, because this is going to be like part of, because I know we're going like way over time. Where did you feel like you learned to master this whole concept of translating very complex ideas to, like you said, bite-sized, digestible information for your audience?
It's because I need that myself to learn something. I would read, you keep in mind, I always was an athlete. I didn't have a background in science. So I was, in a way, I was playing catch up. Because I hadn't these things weren't ingrained in me like they may have been with some of my colleagues who were like always on this path for science or for physics. And so for me, that's how I break things down for myself. It's like, okay, what's going on here? Oh, okay, so it's kind of like this thing is happening, and it can get super technical and complex, but the overall effect that it's having is this. And like this force is overcoming this other force, which is also super technical, but we could kind of zoom out and see it as something more simple. So I think that for me, it's a way for myself to understand it. And it's helpful if you can explain it to somebody who doesn't know anything. Not only shows that you understand it, but can like help other people appreciate that they can understand the universe.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. They always say like, I'm not bringing up any more animal analogies, but the best way to learn is to teach. The best way to learn is to teach. And so I think that speaks to that. Dr. Tyler, thank you so much. Do you go by Dr. Tyler?
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Tyler. Because I really am big on like making sure, especially Black PhDs, like I'm saying their title. Thank you so much for coming. For our last question, we're doing like a YGB moment just because it's Black History Month. And YGB, Young, Gifted, and Black.
Oh, okay.
So, well, I kind of already asked you this, but I'll just ask it and frame it in a different way.
Okay.
We talked about how you would go to space if you could. Is there anything else, if time was not limited, resources were unlimited, money was unlimited, what would you do? What would be like, I don't know, like what would you do with your life? Like if you didn't have to make money anymore, you just wanted to do something that would be like your life's legacy, what would that be?
I'm doing it.
I was about to say, you're gonna say that. That's why I said I already asked you.
Yeah, and I think that is like, as far as I can tell, or like however I see it, that is like when you are finding the thing that you're supposed to do, it's like the thing that you would do anyways, right?
Okay.
And for me, it's being curious about science, about the universe. Like, what do we know about life? How did life evolve? You know, how do planets evolve? Talking about that, having conversations on my podcast. We have a lot of other experts, people that are neuroscientists. We'll have to get you on the show. We have talked to biophysicists.
Yeah. You had Lindsay. I saw Lindsay. That's a neuroscientist.
Yeah, a neuroscientist who literally does brain surgery on. It was crazy. Neuromelody is her name on socials.
Follow her, Neuromelody.
Justin, my co-host, and I were on a Zoom call with her a couple days before we shot, and she was like at a microscope suturing up the skull of a mouse. She was doing brain surgery on it.
Her content is amazing too.
Yeah.
I love her science communication content.
But yeah, like this is what I want to do. It would be writing books, doing podcasts, just talking about stuff like we're doing today.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for coming, Dr. Tyler.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for like just being open, because you could have been like a snooty like celebrity, like nah, I ain't doing no podcast for free. Don't worry, when we get our budget up, I'll be sure to. You're gonna be back on the podcast if you're willing, and we'll be able to not do it pro bono. But thank you so much. Is there any last words that you wanted to say? Any words of encouragement to the little Black boys that are looking up to you, like you said, your role models, and little Black girls who are looking up to you? This is Melanated PhD, so this is supposed to serve as a space of representation to show everyone that like what they could be. Yeah,
I guess it's that you have, on some level, our brains are like these machines that take in a bunch of feedback and like help us form an identity and like figure out how to move through the world. And that as a Black person, a lot of the external feedback and information that you're getting is not telling you that you can do anything that you would like. It's like sort of like nudging you in a certain direction, and to ignore that. Ignore any voice that's telling you that you can't do something. Okay. And oftentimes, maybe that is the only thing that's separating you from getting your PhD in biomedicine or astrophysics, or even something completely different. Maybe it's to like start a business, or to do something in tech, or whatever it is. It's very important to ignore the external things that are telling you that you can't do it.
I love that. And it really is just we're finishing, but Reverend Jesse Jackson passed this last week, and
R.I.P.
one of his most infamous quotes is, "I am somebody," and so I feel like that speaks to it because it really is a mind, not even a mind game, but like a constant reminder throughout the PhD that like I can do this. And I always tell people confidence is half the battle. Like if you can believe in yourself and have the confidence to go after it and be a little delusional, then you're already halfway there.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for listening. Be sure to check in again next week for our next episode, and see you all later.
No, they don't. They take the tusk.
No,
They take the tusk. But my point was, eating an elephant leg is not an easy.
But it's better than the whole thing. That's easier than the whole thing. That's the whole point. Because even like.